There you go. You're up.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our first middle school council meeting for the 2024-2025 school year. My name's Lansing Martinelli, and I am the middle school chair this year. And I know I sent out a full agenda this morning. So in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and begin our meeting. And we're going to start with our update from our superintendent, Dr. Kelly, who is here ready to present. So thank you so much, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to start off by just welcoming everyone back to the 24-25 school year. I wanted to point out that we have joining us this evening, and thank you, Ann Meyer in her new capacity as Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. So we're so pleased to welcome her into district office. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes opening, although it's gone very smoothly, was a little more eventful than what we anticipated. And I want to just give a shout out to the middle school specifically. It was kind of ironic that it was the very first day that we had fully implemented the new cell phone lockers. So during this hold in place, during the bomb threat, our students didn't have access to their phones. And although that may have been added to some anxiety on the parents' part because they couldn't readily get in touch with their children, I have to say it resulted in very calm situations in our classrooms. So for that, I am grateful for our teachers, for their professionalism and how they were able to keep the students engaged and not, their anxiety raising, which, we did see in the high school, lots of texting, lots of rumors flying. But I was just so pleased in the middle school that everyone handled that so well. Between my communications that went out after Wednesday, September 11th, and then my video yesterday, and I'll be sending out more reminders. I am going to hold a parent workshop on Monday, September 30th. You're all welcome. And really the purpose of that, just giving the parent community more details in terms of what we can share about the events of that day. The results of our after action review and what we've learned from that. And then I've also invited our director of security as well as a representative from Alteris, our security firm, to come and speak about the level of training that we've received and to educate parents as to what our safety protocols are, what they are, when we would employ them. Because I think just the more information we can give parents about this, I think the better. So the chief will be joining us also. That's 6 o'clock on Monday evening, and I look forward to seeing you. I will be sending out a survey ahead of time just to get an idea of questions from people, because I do want to make sure there's ample time to answer any questions parents still have. So look for that from me tomorrow and getting that back to me by end of day on Friday so I can spend some time over the weekend just organizing those. And making sure we've got time for any questions. So it's good to see all of you. And again, other than the events on Wednesday, the 11th, it's really been a very smooth opening. And it's just so great to have the kids back in the hallways without their cell phones, and seems to be working out really well. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you're doing to keep our children safe and keep everything calm. I was there to actually witness everything as it was happening, and your calm and everyone within your staff, how calm they were, was just truly appreciated. So thank you so much for that. And if you have, I know if you're welcome to stay, but if you have something to do, obviously you're welcome to hop off now. But thank you very much for the update.
Thank you. And if anyone has any follow-up questions, email me, call me. I'm accessible.
Thank you.
You bet.
And next we have our principals update. So Joe, take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lansing, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. and everyone who will review the recording when this is all over, if you weren't here. It's my pleasure tonight to have three very special people that will be sharing some wonderful knowledge with you. I'll start off with someone who you know very near and dear. That's our Director of Technology, Brad Ashley. As you all know, 3 years ago, we began an initiative working with students and families on ways to keep their children safe on the internet, and ways to keep, just making everyone be a little more aware. And we have some great programs that we'll be running again this year. But I'd like to just turn it over to our wonderful Director of Technology, Brad Ashley, right now.
All right. Can everybody see the screen okay? Can everybody hear me? Nodding heads. Great. All right. So thank you. Joe and I talk a lot about how we can kind of do just a reminders and kind of educate everybody. We do a lot for the students in school. We always start off the year with a presentation similar to this to kind of talk about, all right, we're back. Everybody's getting back into the flow of school, and what are we going to do with devices and bedtimes and all of that. So we like to kind of start off this way. So one big focus that we've kind of switched to is how digital citizenship is really for everyone. And, we thought oftentimes that we want to do this in school when kids are in classes and we can talk about it, but we're finding out that, technology, and especially these little computers that we hold in our hands, are new for everybody. And everybody's kind of in this world together and talking about screen time, not only for students of all ages, but also adults, and being able to get off and, develop a nice balance. And so what we really want to do is focus on digital citizenship, and we want to break it down into 5 different components. Empathy, and making sure that even though there's a screen in front of us, we're still thinking about the person on the other side. I always include a bit on how the internet works so that people kind of understand that it is manipulated, or it can be manipulated real easily. In a longer presentation, oftentimes I'll go ahead and I'll just grab the source code from a website and be able to change some stuff, put it back on, put a keylogger in there, and be able to grab your information within 5 minutes. And so just really understanding how the internet works and how dangerous it can be, and not just blindly kind of believing it. Understanding user data, so what we're giving off and when we sign up for all these free services, the old adage that if it's free, you're the product. And so making sure that we understand that and we're protecting our data, and companies are getting a lot better about this, kind of letting us know about our rights. Practicing digital literacy, and so being able to check multiple sources, and then digital wellness. And so again, our 5 main components, and this is something that we go through all throughout middle school. It's really a focus of our middle school computer science program. They use Common Sense Media as a kind of a foundational curriculum for digital citizenship. And it's a quarterly course. And so as all middle school students will go through it over the course of the year, every single week is kind of grounded in one of these ideas on digital citizenship. So empathy, and really helping us think about the person on the other side of the screen. How the internet works, talking about how easy it is to post. And oftentimes when the students are on the internet just kind of free, there is no editor or teacher to review. And so making sure that students are creating their own editor in their head, and their own teacher kind of on their shoulder, and their own parents on their other shoulder, making sure that whatever they're posting isn't going to is going to be appropriate. And then maybe even an angle of, is it going to bring shame to either one of these people? Is they going to get a look? And then also thinking about the positives of the internet. It's tough to it's easy to kind of go to all the negatives that we're hearing about constantly with social media, with a lot of these things, but it allows people to connect with people all over the world. And some people can be very lonely because they have particular interests that nobody in their town, in their village, in their rural community has, and then they can find connections. And so not losing sight of the fact that there are some positives to it, and how do we balance those? How do we say that they're social media for good and finding connection and making community, but then social media for bad, and kind of balancing, knowing what's right and what's appropriate. Understanding user data, again, it's a big business, and targeted ads that will create bubbles and kind of echo chambers. And these are words and phrases that we're hearing a lot about in the news, because the algorithm that targets us to create ads that are something that we might want to engage in, and it's all about engagement and clicks, kind of reinforce maybe beliefs or incorrect beliefs. And so making sure students understand that they are the product. And when they sign up for these services, when they're seeing these ads, it's not like, oh, that's convenient. It's targeted towards them, and really understanding, kind of pulling back the curtain and understanding what's being done there so that they know and they're not being manipulated. Digital literacy, again, thinking multiple sources and think before buying into something. We have tools on site like Newsella, which is a popular program in which you can grab any sort of article that's out there. It's vetted by Newsella, and then it has Lexile reading levels, so anybody can read it. Fourth grader can read it, and a 12th grader can read it on their appropriate level. But really, those vetted sources are what we want to look at. And when kids get into high school, they're talking about primary sources, and they're making sure that they have the correct, kind of information. And so we can be doing that throughout and making sure that we're looking at multiple places, not just listening to one thing. And then digital wellness, taking stock, stepping away, putting the phones in the lockers when you go into school, turning them off during the weekend, having phone-free nights, and kind of doing some of those things and practicing it, parents and students alike, to show a good example, but also realize that there is a lot of freedom in that. So one thing that's going to help us is that just this year, the New York State has digital fluency standards that are being enacted. And these have been kind of in process since, believe it or not, 2020. And with a lot of revisions and kind of, a lot of people have ideas on these things, but they're also, technology is changing so rapidly that, they felt they had something good and then something else came up. And, these were all kind of developed before AI, but they talk about emerging technologies. So what we did a couple years ago is that we presented these, and we broke them down into strands for grade levels. And we just tried to make them in kind of layman's terms so that people could understand like what an algorithm was, a series of directions. And then we went with our curriculum leaders and we kind of broke them apart, and we said, like, where are you following directions? Where are you doing these things? Where are you talking about being safe online? And we found that we were covering a lot of them just naturally, the way that teachers were interacting with students. And so we were doing a lot of this that we didn't realize that it was directly focused towards digital fluency, but it's just kind of like common sense in 2024 for how you engage and interact online. So this gave us a nice framework to kind of work through and look at impacts of computing, computational thinking, networks and system design, which is always the toughest one to really get in there. Nobody really wants to do Cisco certification, but hey, my door is always open if somebody wants to hang out. And then the two that we really focus on for students, which are probably the most appropriate, are cybersecurity, growing up in a world in which you're constantly asked for data to sign up for something and how that can be detrimental to your future endeavors. And then digital literacy, really understanding what's being put out there. So this is nice because it's a framework and we can kind of look through, and it's more of a checklist rather than just us kind of coming up with ideas and feeling we're doing the right thing. But now we have some targeted things, and like all standards, like some of them we're doing really well and some of them we need to work on. So it's a nice to-do list. Some reading that we always kind of focus on, our first book here on the left-hand side, I Rules by Janelle Burley Hoffman, who has come in the past, and spoiler, she's coming again this year. She gives great advice. She's got, I think, 5 kids, and they kind of all grew up with iPhones, or grew up when iPhones were just becoming a thing. And so her book and kind of her talks really hit home for a lot of parents about the struggles of, because her kids have to have the most recent, and we hear that a lot. So we've always appreciated our partnership with her, and she's very popular around Westchester. And so oftentimes we'll partner up with another district to have like a parent night, and she'll come in and talk to our kids. Another good one is How to Break Up with Your Phone. It's a short little read, but it just gives some good advice on how to detox with your phone is a common phrase where you're removing apps that may not be the best apps to have, or maybe just removing them because you don't use them, and really kind of paring down your phone to basic necessities, and you kind of just wean yourself off of it. Program or Be Programmed, one of my favorite books, just kind of talking about, I think the title almost says it all with, you're either learning how to program and learning how these systems manipulate you, or you're being manipulated. And Douglas Rushkoff is a professor down at NYU, and is actually just was announced that is speaking, one of the main speakers at South by Southwest this year. So that was very exciting to kind of see his name pop up, and it makes sense for what the world is kind of going through digitally. And then there's a lot of books out there, and this is just one that I happen to like, about the positive slash how do we deal with the world that's not going away. You know, technology is going to be here to stay, and all these kids that we're teaching are going to have to use technology in their day-to-day job, most likely. And so how do we do that in intelligent ways? And how do we kind of take the same values that we feel that we had growing up, you know, making community and being able to do things? How does that look online? And can we support that, but be also kind of protective of students and what they might or might not get into? A few other helpful tips that we've come along the way. You are always the greatest filter. Making sure that you are knowing what your students are doing, that if they have an Instagram account, you either have the password or you're following them and seeing what they're posting, and just making sure that, you know, you pay for all their devices, most likely, especially in middle school. So, you know, feel free to take those away, because this is, you know, it's tough to, you are the greatest filter. I won't get into it too much. Charge devices in a central location. This is from iRules, but it just also makes a lot of sense that, you know, it sucks to wake up with an uncharged phone. So might as well put it in the kitchen, away from all the bedrooms, and make sure it's charged to get ready to go the next day. Establish rules for emails work for the entire household. Again, our students, or your kids, our students, kind of look up to us. And I found this out real quick, because I would answer emails when I had my kids that were 3 and 6 months, and all of a sudden they wanted a play laptop to play and answer emails. And I realized real quick that I need to change my habits there when I'm kind of around them. And sometimes it's you can't help it, but try and model good behavior. Carve out low tech, no tech times to reconnect to each other. A couple of years ago, Hasbro had a big campaign about Thursday game nights. And of course, their interest was you buying board games to play, but it's not a bad idea to kind of get a deck of cards and teach some kids some different games that maybe you grew up with, or just some different ways that you can connect that doesn't involve a screen, and that everybody's kind of off, or maybe low tech, so there's one screen that you're watching a movie together. Because there are more recent studies coming out that show that if you're watching something on a big screen and you're all sitting on the couch, that's more of a shared experience versus everybody on their phone or an iPad. And so even ways like that you can watch a movie together and talk about it and kind of discuss, rather than 4 devices where everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And then subscribe to Common Sense Media. It's kind of our go-to. It's a lot of people's go-to. They have great guides for parents. They have great guides for educators. You know, every once in a while, I'll just click on parents and just scroll through, and the stuff that they have is fantastic, and it covers all topics. And so I highly suggest that you either subscribe or just visit, and know that, like, when there's a new movie coming out, or there's an app that you're hearing about, or, you know, back to school or generative AI, they have a really good article on that you visited, and kind of do some research and just kind of see what Common Sense Media says about it, and, you know, kind of read some of the comments, because, you know, they have a tilt, and sometimes people want to kind of fill in that it is worse than they say, or it's better than they say. A couple other things that we've suggested in the past, which people have liked, wellbeing.google, and it's just talking about how to find a balance with technology that feels right for you. And so this is a nice guide. It shows you how to use the Android system of the time of day, and kind of some of those features in which kind of cut off your computer or your social media use, but also just general app use. Oftentimes we think about cutting down on the social media use, but also you can cut down on apps that aren't productive or aren't helpful. And then, of course, Common Sense Media. And here's just an example. So I happen to have an iPhone, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and see how it is. So I went to settings, which is this screen right here, and downtime app limits is the one that I did. Went ahead and clicked on it, and I gave myself 30 minutes of just Instagram and X. Those are the two that, you know, I'll do. And 30 minutes is tough on the weekends when I'm checking sports scores, but I kind of stick to it. And then it's really nice because, you know, when you're at 25 minutes, down at the bottom, it says time check, 5 minutes remaining. And it's a good way to like kind of keep that in mind. Now, you can click OK and take 1 more minute or 15 more minutes or ignore for today. But for me personally, it was a great experiment, and I rarely hit that even 5 minute mark now because I'm just finding other things to kind of fill the day. And I'm definitely not putting an app limit on my New York Times Games app because that's probably a good 45. But just finding other things that are a little bit more productive instead of scrolling or maybe doom scrolling. Some resources here on the left-hand side. Presence is always the best filter. Again, just having somebody over their shoulder, making sure kids aren't, because there's so many things that they can do with devices that you wouldn't think to, but they're finding ways. They're finding different resources online to tell them how to do certain hacks, and most of them don't work. They just what we call brick a device, and so they make it so it doesn't work anymore. So there's just kind of your presence is best. More modern routers. So Eero is the Amazon one. Google Mesh is another one from it. They have they're really nice systems for Wi-Fi or network in your house, but they also have great apps that allow you to see what device is on your network, and you can shut off access to that. And so there are other ways, kind of more extreme ways in which you can watch what devices are online, and you can cut them off if you need to, or put limits on them. I remember there was a commercial, I think, for Verizon wire routers a couple of years ago in which they couldn't get all the kids to turn off their devices and come to dinner, so they just shut them all down through their router. And so it's very similar where cable routers with admin features can do all those sorts of things. And then there are all sorts of ways that you can kind of monitor use built into Mac OS, and then obviously iOS is the screenshots that I've shared, and then built into Windows 10 and Windows 11, which is the next generation. And they're just ways that you can kind of monitor. And I suggest everybody take a few minutes to kind of look through some of those, do a quick Google search, and there'll be guides out there. There's, of course, YouTube videos trying to do this. There's probably guides on Common Sense Media, but it's well worth the time to kind of understand what you can and cannot do with students. And also, I highly suggest that you kind of educate them on and make sure that they know what these things are. And it's not a punitive way that they're going to try and get around it, but we're kind of doing this together. And that's why I always suggest that we try and be a good example. In terms of cybersecurity, which I always kind of always want to mention, just because it's kind of sometimes scary out there, and everything that we do for cybersecurity in district can also apply to people's personal email accounts and just kind of network and online activity. So I always take the time to kind of just talk about our cybersecurity process has three components: technology, so our firewall and some of the devices, what's on them and how we protect people; the process in which how we allow people to have access and how quickly we either cut it off, or how we have different tiers of filtering; and then people, and that's more of the phishing campaigns and just education. So making sure people know what a phishing email looks like, and not to plug USBs in when we just find them lying around, and just making sure that everybody's safe. What we really can focus on, though, with students, especially in middle school, is the people aspect, and talk about some of these things that as soon as they get emails or email access, and they probably have their own personal one, email access within the middle school is only within the school itself. Teachers can email students, students can email teachers, but we don't allow outside for right now. So, on their personal, they're going to be phished. There's going to be, most of that stuff is going to get caught into spam, but every occasional while there'll be an email that will get through and it will look interesting or intriguing. Talking about ransomware, making sure kids aren't clicking on things they shouldn't be, especially when it seems exciting. And then password protection, and making sure that passwords are complex. And so we kind of switched this model a few years ago when we realized that a lot of our students were either using the default password or they were very simple passwords that they were going years without changing. So every year now, we have the entire 6th through 12 change their password, which if you've ever had to change your password, you can understand how difficult that can be at times. But we have the entire 6th through 12, and they all have access to pick their own password. It just has to be complex. And we kind of talk about that in each one of the grades. We have a Google Classroom that we send out information on how to do that independently through a single sign-on solution called ClassLink, but then also why it's important. And I love to show these because these come out new every year, and it's getting more and more difficult where you can kind of read along where the rows there are the number of characters. And so, what we consider complex is 13, although that definition is probably going to change. And then the columns are numbers, lowercase letters. And then on the far right side, it's numbers, upper and lowercase letters and symbols, which is exactly what we require. And there's like a little bit of a sweet spot there where you go from 10 characters in 1 hour to be to have ChatGPT hack it to 47 years with 13 characters. And so that's why some of these, and we try and explain these to students, and a lot of our students are really interested because this is possibly a career interest of cybersecurity. I mean, it's definitely a need, but also just the ability to like look at algorithms and look at the possibility and how these things work. And then on the right-hand side, it's brute force. And so that's just having a program that will run and will change every letter and just trying to get through it. And still it's, 10 characters, 2 weeks, 14 characters, 1 million years. And so just trying to educate students on why it's important to have complex passwords and kind of protect themselves as they go into a world in which they're going to have emails, they're going to be on the computer a lot for most jobs, and really how to protect themselves. And I think that is it. Do we have any questions? I saw there's one question in the chat. Oh, never mind.
Nope. Thank you so much, Brad. And, this information is always helpful for parents, and I know for faculty and students to learn as well. This is kind of a kickoff to what we do each year with cybersecurity, cyber awareness, and keeping our kids safe on the internet. So we're always grateful for Brad and his expertise. I always find it interesting, the ChatGPT and how easy it is to hack your password if it's under a certain amount of characters. And I think it's always beneficial to share that with our families because it affects their lives as well, not just our children, but the adults in our community as well. Thank you, Brad. Moving on, I would like to just say how excited we are about our incredible new guidance team that has started this year. And they have been really working very hard over the first few weeks of school to just get to meet your kids so that their children know who their guidance, the children know who their guidance counselor is, where they are, and just building those wonderful relationships. And we were certainly very lucky to find Samantha Mazo and have Tim Nelson make his way being our 5-9 transition counselor to being our full-time guidance counselor here at the middle school. Tim is also the curriculum leader for 5-9 for the 5-9 guidance team. So I'm going to turn it over to them right now so they can introduce themselves to our school community at large. And we did this at the PTA meeting, and we're very grateful to the middle school council meeting for allowing us to do this tonight, because any parent that wasn't able to be here, this is recorded and they'll be able to view the recording. So Tim, Sammy, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Joe. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see that. Yeah. All right. Thumbs up. That's a good sign. Welcome. Thank you so much for having us here tonight with you guys. And like Joe said, we just wanted to take a couple minutes and just tell you a little bit about who we are, about what we're doing with your kids on a daily basis. And our goal is to meet everyone as quickly as possible so that we can really develop good relationships that for the 6th graders, we'll carry them for 3 years, 7th graders 2, and 8th graders will help us really get them prepared and make that really nice transition to high school. And we're just so happy to be here. So I'm just gonna talk just a little bit about who I am, and then we'll hear from Sammy a little bit on that. As Joe said, I'm in the middle school, grades 6 through 8, and I'm also the counseling curriculum leader for grades 5 through 8. I had the pleasure of being the 5 and 9 counselor last year. So in my 2nd year, this is my 3rd building in Bronxville, which is awesome. I've met literally everyone in all the buildings, and it's been really a great journey to end up where I am. Yeah, I've been in a middle school setting before. Prior to joining Bronxville, I was in a middle school in Larchmont, Mamaroneck for 12 years. So middle school is certainly in my background, and I love middle school. Not everybody says that. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I truly do love middle school age, and it's such a fun and challenging and complex time of your life. And it's an honor to be able to do it here with such an amazing team. So I'm going to kick it over to Sammy to talk a little bit about herself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for having us tonight. Thank you, Joe, for the warm welcome this evening. My name is Samantha Meza, or Sammy, either is fine by me. And it's so great to be here. I've so very much appreciated the warm welcome from your kids over these last few weeks. Getting to know them has been such a highlight for me. Like, I sometimes don't always know exactly where I'm going in the building, and if I ever look lost, there's a kid who's ready to pull me in the right direction. And it's been so great to see them in so many different settings. So thrilled to be here. Just a little bit about my background. I have been a counselor for the last 11 years. This is my 12th year as a school counselor. The last school I was in was an independent school, primarily in the high school, actually, but working with kids in 6th through 12th grade. So I really have a lens of thinking about where kids are, where they're going, and where they've been. And it's really great to be thinking about their journey and what we can do together. I have a master's in school counseling from Fordham and a background in health education. So really thinking about wellness in the forefront of my mind as we think about counseling your kids and making sure they have the middle school experience that's going to prepare them for the next step and help them really find their voices.
Thank you. Okay, this is where it gets fun. I don't know too many people that if they were given the opportunity to get into a time machine would go right back to middle school. I certainly wouldn't, but there's a lot to be said about that. It's a really difficult time of life. One of the hardest, I think, in my opinion, because there's so many changes happening so rapidly. The work gets harder. Kids change their relationships. They're just interacting with more people. They suddenly have, 8 teachers in a day potentially, as opposed to just 1 or 2. And at the same time, they're changing physically, literally by the day. They want their independence from their parents. They want their independence from their teacher, but they desperately need that support from all of those people at the same time. They want to belong. They want to find new interests, and they want to build relationships. And all those things are things that don't always come easily for everyone. In fact, I think I said this to a couple classes when I was in the first week of school. Like, you can expect to fail at something at some point in middle school. A lot of kids up until this point have really been really successful with their classes and their grades, and they've found some things easy. And this is the time where it starts to get a little harder. And we kind of want them to fail a little bit. And this is a good, safe time in their life to navigate those things with the help and support of a lot of people. And that's really what I think middle school is all about: learning from those mistakes and those missteps and those errors, and really building upon that, because that's really what builds a foundation for these kids moving into high school that they will draw upon when they're faced with bigger and more challenging things. So I welcome this chaotic time of their life. And I welcome parents, and I know Sammy feels the same way, to pick our brains about our experiences with these things, to ask for help, to ask for questions, to get answered. We have the real fortunate case that we've got kids in and out of our offices pretty much all the time. Our doors wide open. We get a lot of visitors, for little things, for big things, for everything in between. So it's a real partnership. We've gotten to know the kids pretty well. Sammy's going to talk about that a little bit more in the next slide, but we're really just happy to be in the middle school and working with such great kids, and we really appreciate the community support and their partnership as we do this really hard time of their life together.
So as Tim said, we're really here to partner with you and to partner with your child to think about this challenging time in their life, to help be their advocate, but also help them advocate for themselves and help them learn some skills to cope with all of the things that might emerge in these middle school years. So we're here to really be a resource for them and for you, for teachers, to really collaborate together to make this the most positive, productive, fruitful middle school experience it could possibly be. We teach a sixth grade counseling class, which covers a whole bunch of things, anything from time management, friendships, social connections, what does it mean to be part of a community, navigating middle school right now. Right today, we did a unit on distractions and what that means and how to tackle them. So really just thinking with kids about what can we do to establish great habits, establish who you are right now early on in their middle school experience. We also help with scheduling. If there's a concern about scheduling, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to think it through with you. We are working very closely with Mr. McCora on all of that. We work really closely with teachers, with administrators, with our school psychologist to make sure that no one's falling through the cracks, to make sure that we can be a resource for you. And we really invite you to please tell us if there's something going on. If you're not sure whether or not you need to involve us, call anyways. Let us know. Let us help you. Let us think through it together. It's never too much. It's never a bother. We're so grateful for that partnership. We know how well you know your kids and really want to benefit from that knowledge and your expertise. We're here to be social, emotional support and really just be a resource for your kids. Just on that note, Mr. Nelson mentioned it, but we are actually trying to meet with every single student in the middle school in the next couple of weeks. So if your kid comes home and says, oh, the counselor pulled me, please know that we are meeting with everybody right now. We're really excited to get to know kids, and we have a schedule we've worked on with teachers to make sure that we can do that in these first few weeks of school so that we can be a resource for them for big things and for small things, for a hello and a snack, or just or some of the big things that come up in school, thinking through something that's going on in a class or something that's going on socially. So we do individual and group work with kids, and we can consult and collaborate. And if we're not sure where to point you to, we'll find it out together and really problem solve together on anything that might be going on. Or if there is something that you're wondering, if there is an opportunity to lead, a leadership opportunity, an interest your child has, please let us know so we can explore that together with you and with them.
Thank you. And just real quick, I did see in the chat there was a question which I just thought was really relevant, was that, how do students get to meet with us if they need? That's part of what we'll be covering in our meetings with our students. We really just try to keep an open door policy. Kids can drop in to schedule meetings. Sammy and I are in the lunchroom every day where a lot of kids will come up and say, hey, I need to talk, or can we talk real quick about this or that? We schedule individual meetings with kids. Kids can email us, they can drop in. There's a lot of different ways kids can find us. Most of the times, at least so far this year, kids will just come up to me in the hallway and say, hey, gotta talk. Can we talk later? Can we talk this time, that time? So it's just, we're out there quite a bit. We're in advisories, we're in homerooms. So kids often will just, they'll find us. And really our goal is to, in the next few weeks, make sure every kid knows that, where they can go, how they can find us. So I hope that answers that question. And we're just really looking forward to a great year.
One more question from the chat also about the counseling seminar for sixth graders. It's one of their exploratories, so they'll have it at one point throughout the year during one of the quarters. So we have 2 groups each quarter during A block or F block. So you can check your child's schedule. If they don't have it now, they'll have it at some point throughout this school year.
And just stay in touch. No phone call is wasted, in my opinion, even if it's just to check in on something that you might think is minor. That's all good. We love to hear from you. So please stay in touch. Our email addresses are here. They're on the website as well. And any collaboration, you'd like to be or do, we'd love to have you. So thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. and the platform here to talk to you guys tonight. And we hope everyone's off to a great start. And we look forward to meeting everybody soon.
We hope to see you on Thursday.
Thank you
Thank
so
Tim.
much,
Thank you so
Sammy.
much.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate your time and everything that you're doing for these kids and parents. I can tell you, we're very lucky to have them with us and all that they're doing. And I think at this point in time, it's going to be a very tough act to follow with all these wonderful people, but I'll do my best. And I just certainly want to welcome everyone back, the Bronxville Middle School family. And as we continue, our motto is always, we're going to change the world one student at a time. Always looking at the Bronxville Promise. We want students to be innovators. We want them to engage the world in a positive way. We want them thinking critically, and we want them leading. And I always, Tim referenced the middle school so beautifully, but I always, as a visual learner, I was someone that always wanted a visual when it came to the middle school. And I always envisioned the middle school as this incredible bridge. And I want to welcome you all to this wonderful bridge that students go over in this wonderful time of their lives, and this sometimes complicated time of their lives. See, we are responsible for getting students from that wondrous world of elementary school to that incredible world of high school. And in the middle of that time, they're with us. And really one of our major goals with students at this age level is to help them build positive habits, whether it's habits of study, habits of mind, just to put them on a path to overall success. They will enjoy success during middle school and they will struggle during middle school. It's just the nature of the age group, but they will always know that in anything they are going through in Bronxville Middle School, they are never alone. I want to welcome another member of our team, Mr. Anthony Vaglica, who is no stranger to anyone who's had children in the elementary school. He served beautifully as the assistant principal of our elementary school. And prior to that, many of you knew him as the physical education teacher, the curriculum leader of the physical education department, as well as the director of BASC. And everything Anthony has done, he has done beautifully. And it's a pleasure for me, I know, to partner back with him. We had some time together in the elementary school, and having him here as our AP for the middle and the high school is wonderful, because if you know anything about Anthony, he is all about building relationships with students. And Anthony will be able to build those relationships over 7 years with students who start in middle school and end up in high school. So we're thrilled to have Anthony on our team. We'd also like to make note that Mr. Brian Sr., who's an incredible PE teacher and the current curriculum leader of our K-12 physical education department, has taken over the role of middle school dean. So he is now that aspect of on our leadership team. And Brian is a wonderful man. It's been a pleasure to work with him in his role as dean in these early months. Many of you know Brian from the early trips that we've been going on. Brian has become a big liaison for us with all trips. And, you know, we spoke to every student in our school. We had grade level meetings, and we always speak to them as, how can we make this the greatest year ever? And, you know, it's very simple. Our expectations are consistent and simple each and every day. All we want is students to do their best. We want them to not to be afraid to struggle and even fail at times, because they're never alone in any of that. We will always help them. We want them to be advocates for themselves. We want them to ask for help when they need it. Follow the rules is obviously something they've been being asked to do since you in your home as children and babies and all the way up and through school. We want them to have respect for everyone. And we want them to try to make someone's day every single day with a simple random act of kindness. And if you know anything about our positive behavior intervention services program, it's all about establishing a culture of kindness in our school. And when we speak about that culture of kindness, we challenge the students about asking them, how can you make someone's day every single day? And just a random act of kindness, saying hello to someone when you see them walking past you, seeing when someone alone. And we see this so often in our cafeterias and even in town, when someone's alone, asking them to join you. Please and thank you when appropriate, listening when someone is talking instead of waiting to speak, and helping someone for no reason at all other than to help. We want them to push themselves every single day to be the best person that they can be, and always know that we care about you and we believe in these students each and every day. And I just want to give a big shout out to our 6th graders. They have done such an incredible job transitioning to middle school. They just had a great trip to Sharp Reservation, and this was the opportunity for middle school students to work in their advisory groups. It's invaluable. There was some class bonding, and as we embark on our advisory curriculum following the Bronxville Promise as our compass, these students had an incredible launch into 6th grade. They literally jumped right into middle school. And I want to thank Julia Brogan for taking this picture of our students at their Sharp Reservation trip. Here is an incredible group of young ladies and young gentlemen, and we're very excited about our 6th graders, as we are with our wonderful returning 7th and 8th graders. We just had an incredible homecoming week, and the middle school was very involved in that as well. This is our leadership team staying at the homecoming game on Saturday evening, and it was an incredible game. And it was just the capping off of an incredible week. Thank you to the PTA for all they did to contribute to that incredible week. We have some great upcoming events, and on Thursday we will have our back to school night at 7:00 p.m. You can expect a reminder email from me about that. We will have some wonderful student volunteers helping you navigate our school, and we're also going to have a lot of signs, and it will be in the hallways, and trying to make that a smooth night for everyone. But you'll get to actually walk the steps of your child and how they navigate the school each and every day. Tomorrow we go to the Outsiders. The 7th grade is going to see the Outsiders tomorrow, the play. We're very excited about that. We have an incredible trip coming up for our 7th graders as well to Williamsburg, Virginia, November 20th to the 22nd. You'll get a lot of information about that in the coming few weeks. And just a big shout out to something I know I love to attend every year, and the PTA does such a wonderful job of welcoming all of our new families. And that's Wednesday, October 9th at the Bronxville Field Club. I believe it begins at 6:30 p.m. But this is something that Bronxville does that not a lot of other school districts do, and they do it so well. We have a lot of new families each year. We've averaged about 18 new families a year at the middle school in the 4 years now that I'm working here. So welcome to all of our new families, and please get involved in our PTA because it is second to none. Brad Ashley touched upon some ways to kind of be mindful and watch your children on the internet, and even some helpful tips for yourself. We're going to continue keeping your children safe. We have Assistant District Attorney Laura Forbes that will be coming from the Westchester County District Attorney's Office. She has an incredible background. We'll be getting you a lot more information about that as the month of October comes. But we will have an October 30th assembly with the students at 9:30 a.m. That is live and in person. And then we will have a workshop that evening on October 30th with our parents, anyone that's interested. And I believe we're able to record that. So even if you cannot make it, we will have the recording. But just more ways to keep your children safe. It is my 3rd year at the middle school, and I welcome my 3rd secretary to the middle school. And I'm not getting offended by it at all, because they all move on to incredible new adventures. So Katie, as you know, Kathleen, as you knew last year, and we welcome Christina Viseccia. And thank you so much to Katie and Kathleen for making it such a smooth transition for Christina to come in. So Miss Viseccia is right at that desk each and every day. I wanted parents to have a visual as to who she is. Many of you have gotten the opportunity to speak to her on the phone. She's doing a great job, and we're very lucky to have Christina Viseccia with us in the main office. And a big shout out to Kathleen and Katie for all their assistance and continued assistance in making that a smooth transition. Obviously, we want to say thank you. We want to model what we ask the kids to do each and every day. So thank you so much to our staff for a wonderful beginning of the school year. Thank you to our parents for all of their support. The PTA for everything they do. Let's never forget the Bronxville School Foundation and what they do for our entire school community. Brad Ashley, Tim Nelson, and Sammy Mazo for speaking with us today on very important topics for our kids. Please know that we will love and care and support your children each and every day. And we always begin the year, our mantra as a middle school, and to the kids as well, is if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, let's go together. And let us go far together this year for the students of Bronxville Middle School. This is an incredibly caring team. There they are in their Bronxville Only a Fool Gets in Trouble on a Friday t-shirt. That's our little mantra every Friday at the middle school. And we don't have any fools in Bronxville Middle School. We have the best kids in the world, and we're very lucky to work with them each and every day. Those are members of a great team, and we look forward to continuing this year with an incredible community. So thank you. And thank you for your patience with us. Our presentations are normally not this long, but we had some great people joining us tonight, Lansing, and I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to say hello.
Thank you so much. Those were great updates, great presentations, and a great way to kick off our year. So we're very appreciative. And I think you segued nicely into the Bronxville School Foundation. We do have an update from Wendy Fahey. So Wendy, take it away.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me back. I can't seem to leave these middle school meetings, but thank you so much. So for those of you who don't know, I am the Bronxville School Foundation Chair this year. And I just want to give you a little bit of information about the foundation and some of the grants that directly impact the middle school students this year. The foundation significantly enhances the educational experience for all students at the Bronxville School. The foundation raises money each year from school families, alumni, and the community at large to fund initiatives beyond the school's budget. The foundation's 30-member board is comprised entirely of parent volunteers, and we work with administrators, teachers, parents, and students to identify initiatives for grants that will have a big impact on the school community. The foundation grant program funds an array of initiatives in arts, athletics, and all academic disciplines across Bronxville's elementary, middle, and high school. The foundation grants support every aspect of life at the Bronxville School, including cutting-edge programs and resources, faculty growth and development, student health and wellness, and facilities. Since 1991, which, 33 years, the foundation has funded more than $13.3 million in grants throughout the school. Just a few highlights for this year. Last June, the grants that were approved for the middle school was a mental health first aid training for middle school faculty, curriculum writing for updating the middle school advisory, focusing on belonging, equine assisted learning for special education classes, recycling equipment for the middle school tech classes, and then many other programs that will impact the entire school, including the middle school. The foundation's kicking off our community drive in late October, so please be on the lookout for that mailing. We really do strive to have 100% participation from school families. We say all the time that no donation is too small because every dollar that you give makes an impact for the school. So we would really appreciate any donation that you're able to give this year. You can go visit the Bronxville School Foundation website, bronxvilleschoolfoundation.org, to learn more about that. There's also two things that you'll see on social media coming up currently to help also with some funds is that you can order holiday cards or stationery or things through Minted, and a portion of those proceeds will go to the foundation. And if you're someone who frequents DeChico, like I do, often multiple times a week, they also have a program where some of the funds that a portion of your grocery bill each week will get funneled to the foundation. So all of that information is going to be on the website, and we'll sort of be posting that on social media as well. So please follow us there. Thank you, and I appreciate it. And thanks for having me back.
Thanks so much, Wendy, and thank you for everything that the foundation does for our school. So quickly, I just wanted to run through, just so everyone kind of has a face with the name, all the volunteers that we have working on the middle school council this year. So for those people who have their cameras off, I'm just going to quickly go through the different committees and the names, and you're welcome to turn your camera on and wave. You don't have to, but just so that people have a face with the name. Obviously, there are a few people that jumped on a little late. I'm Lansing Martinelli. I am the chair of the Middle School Council. My vice chair this year is Megan Allen. The treasurer is Joyce Barnes. Secretary is Tara Hulbert. We have 3 8th grade chairs this year. We have Jelana Valente, Colleen O'Callahan Hockey, and then Jen Bruno. We have 3 7th grade chairs this year. It's Jenny Jacobs, Amy Savale, and Catherine Williams. And for 6th grade, we have Tara Hansen, we have Nicole Salambini and Lindsay Mahoney, and those are the grade chairs for 6th, 7th, and 8th. For character and community, we have quite a crew. It's Maura Fitzgerald, Rob Kennedy, Christine Tormey, Amy Savale, and Megan Allen as well. For Be Well, we have Elizabeth Ranguala and Christine Say. For Health and Safety and for Athletic Council, we have Megan Paisley serving on 2 committees for the middle school. For Basque, we have Lindsay Johnson and Lindsay Livornia. For DEI, we have Catherine Kempton and Teresa Brady. For Sustainability, we have Amy Savale. For Staff Appreciation, Tara Hulbert. For Arts, we have Jane Napier-Meath. And for Teen Center, we have Melissa Kelly, Gina Lodi, Lindsay Mahoney, and Sarah Waterstone. And for Bold, we have Michelle Spillane. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the whole team. And then we have a few updates for tonight with that. So I'm gonna let Michelle speak for the Bold committee. I know she has an update.
Yes, hi. I'll make this very quick. We have 2 updates coming up. One is on this Friday, the 27th, after back to school night. There's a coffee and connect at 8:30 in the morning in the NPR. And there's going to be the psychology team and the counseling team there. And it's a good opportunity to for parents to talk to some related service providers that they might not have been able to speak with at the back to school night. So that's at 8:30 on Friday in the NPR. And then the other big thing that's coming up is Thursday, October 17th. We're going to have a Zoom with Peg Dawson, who's the author of Smart But Scattered, and she's going to speak on executive functioning skills, which I know is a very big topic of interest to everybody. The Zoom is open to everybody, K through 12, and we'll send out more information about that, but I just really wanted to get it out there so everybody was aware of it.
Great, thank you so much. And then I have Michelle Horvers speaking for the Arts Council.
Hi, good evening. Hello. Thank you, Lansing. Yes, Michelle Horvers. I'm one of the PTA Arts Council chairs, along with Kelly Fetza and Jenny Jaquette this year. We are super excited to get started. As Lansing mentioned, Jane Napier will be your Middle School Arts Council chair this year, and she will be providing you updates across the performing arts and the fine arts. Couple of quick updates for tonight. Reminder, I'm sure you already know this, that early morning has already started. Tuesday is 8th grade, Wednesday is 7th grade, Thursday is 6th grade. Start time is 7:45. Also just want to highlight some of the art and music clubs that are being offered this year. We have Art Club, Chamber Strings, we have choristers, we have a drama club, a jazz band club. Some of these clubs run after school, some of them run during lunchtime. So please refer to Mr. McCour's weekly principals message for more information. That's it. Thank you, Lansing.
Great, thank you so much, Michelle. And then I'm going to give the update on Teen Center. So we have our first Teen Center coming up on November 1st for 8th grade. That's at 7 p.m. The theme is either Halloween costumes or favorite jerseys, which seems to always be a hit. For 6th and 7th grade, Teen Center is going to be on November 15th. 6th grade will start at 5:30 p.m. 7th grade starts at 7:30 p.m. And that is also football themed. So I wanted to give that update for Teen Center. And then one more thing is for character and community. I think in Joe's principal message, there was the sign up genius for this Saturday, where a group of West Habs kids will be coming in to Reformed Church, and Bronxville Middle School students spend the day with them or part of the day with them as they have lunch and play games. I think there's still a few spots open if any children want to volunteer for this Saturday, but this is something that will continue, so more chances to get involved will be happening throughout the year. And then lastly, we do have our middle school social, which is on October 5th, which is a Saturday. And I think there's maybe about 15 tickets left. So if you haven't bought your ticket, go ahead and do that. And you can find it on our website. I think I also put the link in the agenda that I sent out this morning. Actually, I know I put the link there. And I think that is it for me, unless anyone has any questions for me or for Joe. Other than that, I think we covered a lot.
Thank you, Lansing. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing everyone at back to school night on Thursday.
See you on Thursday. Thanks, guys.
Have a great night.